good.
Convenient.
All right. Did we do bars at home? Well, we got backup DV. That's why I brought the backup DV.
DV is rolling, stand by. Three, four, three, two, one.
Hello, and welcome to our show, Crooked Doctors.
With darts, folks.
Today is Friday, May 17th, 2013.
It is.
And we're back in our new studio.
Oh, what a great street.
We upgraded, so we're back at 59th Street.
Gee.
We upgraded to high definition TV. And we got the, oh good, we've got today's the 17th.
It is. Well,
Since I'm
we'll
going to
look
put
for
this up on YouTube for people who missed the live broadcast.
fresh light.
Now, William Doherty asked a very good question.
Yes.
And he asked, when are you going to start doing some of this production work, Lydia, to get everything up on YouTube so that our audience in different states can follow us? And the most important thing right now is to get us through the knockdown, drag-out litigation. So you've got to get through
Next week.
where you're being falsely accused of criminal charges.
3 different charges.
Pauline Roman has got to get through next week where she's facing false criminal charges.
Right.
But the most important thing, and if you could, we're going to go to this document. Can you take off the stills, the Crooked Doctor stills, and come back to us for a minute? The most important thing is that in federal court right now is supportive documentary evidence that shows that Steve Fulop, who's the new mayor of Jersey City,
Mayor-elect.
okay, he has been not just aware of, not just a passive participant, but an active participant in over $15,000 worth of Medicaid fraud. So has Patricia Waiters. Now, that evidence is in federal court, and it's being suppressed because a lot of people don't want the truth to come out. So, Rich, if you would go to click out of this PDF file right in front of you, and if you'd be so kind as to, I think if you just X out of it.
Want me to close it?
Yeah, so we can go back to the other documents.
Oh.
And if you would open up.
That was the other documents.
Oh, okay. Well, if you could open up Unrestrict 1 and 2. And what you're going to see is that I'm asking folks to write to the court so that these documents are, you can just open them in the viewer plane. Okay. I've asked the chief judge, so far 4 federal judges have looked at this documentary evidence, okay? And I asked the chief judge to, behind my back for over a year, these documents have been, that should be Jason Berg if you pick it up.
Say hello.
Hello.
Hi, Lydia, Jason.
Hi, Jason.
Hi, Jason.
How you doing?
Good. I'm discussing with the audience the time pressure because next week we're going into court, and my case makes the foundation that Pauline Roman and William Doherty are building on my case to show the bias, the corruption in the municipal court in Jersey City.
Fantastic. That's great.
And what this documentary evidence does is it shows that it shows that Steve Fulop has known about over $15,000 worth of Medicaid fraud, a federal crime executed by Jersey City Medical Center for 4 years now, and what it's done by suppressing this information, it has made the last election, of which you were an independent, unfair. So are you with me so far, Jason?
Yes, I'm with you. I'm with you all the time.
And I'm holding up one of the little handouts that Dan Levin handed out. He was running for my ward, Ward E. And instead of giving this man a fair shot at it, Steve Fulop deceived. He bought the vote. He bought the vote with Patricia Waiters. In a retaliatory fashion, Patricia Waiters got up in front of the Jersey City Council
Yes.
on May 8th
Right.
and falsely accused me of sending a threatening email. See how the
Threatening to a daughter.
but see how the propaganda works? They're continuing a thread that my medical school is trying to say.
Right.
So she's falsely, on May 8th, 2013,
Yeah.
Patricia Waiters got up in front of the Jersey City Council and falsely accused me of sending her daughter a threatening email. Okay. She also claimed that she had a temporary restraining order against me.
It's great, folks. Listen.
So I called the Hoboken Municipal Court and I asked, is there a no contact order against me? They said no. Her daughter got this so-called threatening email at her school, which is located in Hoboken. So the crime was committed in Hoboken, so if there was a no contact order or restraining order, it should come out of Hoboken.
Right.
Well, the municipal court informed me that there was no contact order, there was no order against me in the municipal court.
Sure.
So then the only other thing we could check was at the Superior Court located at 595 Newark Avenue.
Right.
And when
Jersey City.
in Jersey City, and when we checked there, they did a statewide search, and there are no temporary restraining orders against me.
None whatsoever.
So in short, Patricia Waiters got up in front of the Jersey City Council and lied, and stupidly demonstrated that she is a person of bad moral character. In this battle that we've been fighting to fight the corruption of our courts and elected officials, it's a sad truth, but is the truth nevertheless. She's demonstrated that she is functionally illiterate, that she's low class, and that she is a person of bad moral character. So ultimately what's going to happen is I tried to help her get her case in federal court reopened.
Right.
And the only thing that's going to happen now is that if she tries to reopen her case, she's effectively lost her case.
Okay.
The Hudson County will argue that they made the right decision for the wrong reasons
Absolutely.
in firing Miss Waiters from her job as a corrections officer because she's demonstrated that they made the right decision.
A fast one here. Now, Patricia Waiters was working with you for a substantial amount of time. Now, why did Renee get the last minute? Have you any ideas?
Yeah, because Steve Fulop bought the vote. Here you go.
All ties in, folks.
Steve Fulop bought the vote. It's election fraud.
I see.
So she got up in front of the Jersey City Council. It was before May 8th, too. There was another time she spoke where she said, people are asking me who to vote for, and I say Steve Fulop. Patricia Waiters knew for several years that I was victimized by Jersey City Medical Center and the municipal court in Jersey City, the municipal prosecutor's office, and the municipal public defender's office.
She supported you, Lydia, for all these years. And
She
Renee
didn't do
got
anything.
the last minute.
She
was on your side.
She didn't do anything.
Okay,
All she
well-
did was suppress the truth. She knew the truth. I gave her documentary evidence. I sat down with Steve Fulop. He was my city councilman. I'm his constituent.
I got it.
So every time I would go to somebody else, they would say, you live in Ward E, Steve Fulop is your constituent. Your councilman. Steve Fulop's, thank you for correcting me.
Constituent.
Thank you for correcting me. Every time I would go to someone else, they would say, Steve Fulop is your city councilman in Ward E.
You're his constituent.
I'm his constituent. He is the appropriate person to talk to.
Absolutely.
Now, the municipal court is here,
That's right.
and it's Judge Rodriguez, the public defender's office, the municipal prosecutor's office,
Yes.
who are engaged in these crimes.
Right.
And Steve Phillips sits on the city council.
He's a lawmaker, right?
Well, but he's also responsible for what goes on. He's a city councilman, and he's responsible for what goes on in the city courts.
Of course.
And I sat down with him after I was a crime victim at Jersey City Medical Center. I sat down with him. I gave him documentary evidence, pages out of my intentionally falsified medical records. I
right.
explained to him how the medical center had committed over $15,000 worth of Medicaid fraud.
they
I did
did.
the same with Patricia Waiters. I asked the man to make one phone call, and this is not just one time. I gave him documentary evidence of federal student loan fraud. I gave him documentary evidence and names and contact information and photographs and all kinds of evidence for immigration fraud.
Okay.
He knew the entire story. I don't have to get lost in the details now.
Sure.
But for years, he knew about this. I asked him to make a single phone call to the state attorney general's office to stop the harm towards me.
Sure.
He refused to make it. When I used to speak at city council meetings to force the truth out into the open, and I would get 5 minutes, so I was speaking as
Sure,
fast as I
that's what
possibly
you
could. Those city council meetings are videotaped.
Yes.
And they're broadcast 24 hours a day, 7 days a week over JCTV.
Right.
For 2 weeks straight. So if you take a few litigation points and put them on the record, even though the courts are corrupt,
Sure.
you can develop another public record so that the truth will not be suppressed.
Of course.
And this is the same thing I recommend to Pauline Robin, and this is part of the field manual that I was writing. So if you go in, if the courts are corrupt, and Jason, you're witnessing how corrupt the courts are.
Yeah,
Yes?
Jason.
Yeah, I am. Most definitely.
Okay, so Jason is a witness. He's seeing this unfold in front of him with Frank Babcock.
That's right.
Creating a false court record through the sin of omission, through false statements of material fact. Frank Babcock was a principal in my case
That's
because
right.
after I had been victimized, he was one of the municipal court judges that I went to. Steve Phillip is responsible for this too. So you see this unfolding in real time in Pauline Roman's case, but I've already been through the mill here.
That's right.
So when I talk to Pauline, I say, look, I know what they're doing to you. They're inflicting mental anguish. I understand.
Okay.
If you go to court and you try to tell the truth, they try to silence you. So there's a way to work around the corrupt courts. And one way to do that is go to the Jersey City Council meetings. You get 2 times a month. You get 5 minutes. Those city council meetings are videotaped. They're played 24/7.
And this is public record, folks.
Exactly. So you can develop another public record where you can put the truth on the record to protect yourself from the corruption of the courts. So I'm speaking in front of the city council meetings, and I'm confronting Steve Phillip. He keeps trying to direct me to other people, to weasel out, not to take responsibility. I'm like, no, Mr. Phillip.
To say, Steve Phillip, these are distractions, are they not?
It's
From your
It's
situation.
Mr. Phillip trying to weasel. He talks a good game. He's a good con artist.
Oh, yeah.
He sold the people a fantasy, but it is a triumph of appearance over substance.
I see.
So when I stand at city council meetings and I say, Mr. Phillip, he's trying to say go to other people. I'm like, no, Mr. Phillip, I'm your constituent. You're my city councilman.
Right.
What happened here is your responsibility. This is the city courts, which you're responsible
Yeah.
for, and this is the Jersey City Medical Center, which you're responsible for.
Wait a minute. The buck stops here, Steve Phillip. It doesn't go further.
So what Mr. Phillip used to do to weasel out of accountability, to weasel out of responsibility, is he would get up, when it was my turn to speak, he would get up and he would leave the room because
Yeah.
his attorneys,
yeah.
you remember those?
But eventually he did stay there because
No,
it
no.
looked pretty bad. I mean, it looked pretty
He would
bad.
leave the room because his attorneys told him
Yeah.
that if he left the room, he would have plausible deniability.
Okay.
So
got
that
it.
he could, see no evil, hear no evil, speak no
Right.
evil. Right? So that's what he was doing. He was leaving the room. I had to shame him.
And to stay, well, that's what I was getting at. Go ahead, Lydia.
I had to
Get him.
shame him, the Marine.
Yeah.
And I would say, there he goes, the Marine who runs away. Okay, he's running away. Give me the phone. Who do I call in Washington
right.
about the Marine who runs away? And when he was so humiliated,
He finally stayed there once in a while. There you go.
then he started staying in the room. Then
that's
I would confront him. Then he tried to slough off accountability to everybody else.
Right.
there was one exchange in one city council meeting that we had where I said, you know, Mr. Phillip, I just asked you to make a single phone call.
Okay.
And he says, yes, Lydia, I did make a single phone. When he used to come down at break time or during meetings, I would approach him. I'd say, Mr. Phillip, you're my city councilman.
Sure.
Remember, this was after I got out of Rikers,
Right,
after I'd been
right,
railroaded.
right.
And you know, when I was first a victim, we sat down in his office. I gave him all the evidence. He did everything he could to run away.
I see.
After I got out of Rikers and I confronted him again, he would start the propaganda that my medical school
Yeah.
started with. Oh, you're harassing me. Oh, you're harassing me. No,
Right,
I'm not, Mr.
right,
Phillip. This
right.
is your responsibility.
As a matter of fact, Lydia Radin had a problem getting into one of the debates between Phillip and Healy because the cops had messages that she was harassing
I'm not harassing
Steve
it.
Phillip, and but she did get in finally. But this is what
Okay,
they pulled on her.
I wasn't harassing.
St. Peter's.
I wasn't harassing anybody, but I'm glad you brought this up because Debbie Simon, who's in the Hudson County Prosecutor's Office, was supposed to do an investigation. She didn't. She lied. I caught her lying. And one of her tactics was to tell the police department, I would be directed to go to the police department and make a complaint, in the police station.
Sure.
The police were directed by Debbie Simon not to take my complaints because
Right.
it's keep it off the record, keep it off the record, keep it off the record.
That's right.
So at the mayor debates, because Mr. Phillip had defamed
At
me,
St. Peter's in Jersey City.
because he had defamed me so much, we had Jersey City police detectives
Mm-hmm.
provide security. So I took my intentionally falsified medical records, turned them into handbills, handed them to the police detectives.
Okay.
So thank you, Mr. Phillip, because you got the police detectives to come out. I put my intentionally falsified medical records into their hands with a statement of the facts on the other side. So right now, today, the Jersey City police detectives have no plausible deniability.
That's right.
Thank you, Mr. Phillip.
Backfired, Steve.
So I'm confronting Steve Phillip and I'm demanding accountability from him. And through this period of time, he's doing everything he can to weasel out.
Yeah.
And finally I said, you know, Mr. Phillip, the tragedy here is that you could have been. You could have been the law and order candidate, but you're so spineless, so weak, so cowardly, you couldn't even make a single phone call. And therein, and this is part of one of the Jersey City Council meetings, he says, I did make a phone call, Lydia. I made a phone call to the police. So Steve Phillip did not just passively allow these crimes to happen, which would have been bad enough. He took affirmative steps and in furtherance of an organized criminal conspiracy. Okay? Oh my goodness, I used the words.
Whoop.
So he took affirmative steps. So when he made those phone calls to the police and lied, and what he would tell people, he would lie about me, and what he would tell the police is that he was afraid. He said this once
I remember that.
in the city council meeting, that the city council meeting was the only place I could get at him or get at them. And I'm like, I'm not there for them, Mr. Phillip.
Well, the point is, she's got a 5 minutes of public speaking. That's the Constitution. She can't be denied on that. You see.
But what he was trying to say was, oh, I'm afraid she's going to attack me at the city council meetings. It was such garbage.
Yeah, it was pretty
And I'm
bad.
like, Mr. Phillip, I'm here because the city council meetings are videotaped
public
and they're
record.
played.
You know what's an irony here?
What?
With Steve Phillips saying that you were going to attack him. You know, being a former Marine, you do have a self-protection clause for your life. And you needed to call in the police to create this delusion of you being off the wall. And the real thing is that you're so sane. You make you're just fabulous. And,
I'm using ridicule as a weapon to force out the truth. And it is, and you know, he's an embarrassment to the Marines. When I was talking to, you can't see this, but I'm holding up right now one of Dan Levin's vote cards.
She can see.
And Dan Levin ran for, he was Ward E. And
yeah,
Steve Phillips' ward, folks.
well, this is his ward. And Mr. Levin is responsible, according to this, for passing some of the strongest ethics legislation in Jersey. So
he's responsible for putting that in. He pushed that.
right, So Dan Levin was denied, and as were you, as were every candidate, was denied a fair election because had the FBI done its job in 2008, 2009, 2010, 2011, then Mr. Fulop would have been prosecuted, as he should be,
That's right.
for helping Jersey City Medical Center defraud the taxpayers of over $15,000 in Medicaid fraud, the assault on Robert Cross, the aggravated assault on Lydia Radin that almost cost me my life. My medical records are wholesale fraud. This was Judge Rodriguez using the hospital as a weapon
Sure.
after I outed her. So Steve Fulop would have been prosecuted, and there might actually have been a fair election.
Okay.
So what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that Steve Fulop he may have won the election, but he will never rule because he got that election by lying. And what I'm going to show now is, if you would go to that document that you have right now.
Well, you know, it's interesting. Like, I am no lover of Healy. I have my reasons, disrespect and ineptitude. But the real thing is that as much as we may not like him, had I not, I would have voted for him as a thing against, not for him, but against Healy. You got to understand, a lot of people can stand Healy, and they vote for Philip as the best second choice.
Well, you know, I'm glad you raised that because people asked me, and this is the way. These are a couple litigation points because I had I talked with a friend of mine out in Hoboken today. And he's like, "What did?" And this is the propaganda that Patricia Waiters is putting out because she's sold out. You know, what did Mayor Healy do for you? Mayor Healy called Judge Rodriguez. I asked him to make a phone call. Could you please call that judge? He
Sure.
did. He may not be perfect, but because he made that phone call, some of the harm towards me stopped. So, you know, I know there's a lot of criticism, but how many people, you know, Mayor Healy is running this big bureaucracy. You know, how many people go to Mayor Healy and give him a chance? Please make the phone call. Please take this action step. Please follow up. It's easy to sit back and blame somebody. So what I'm showing now, and Jason, you're going to give me a letter. Can you go to the Pauline Roman letter?
Yeah.
This is a letter. You read this letter. I'm asking for, and this we're going to be submitting this to
It's an affidavit.
Well, it's not an affidavit.
It's a letter.
It's a
Notarized-
letter, and it's
notarized
saying that because my case came first, I'm laying the foundation for my case came first in 2007, 2008 in landlord-tenant court.
That's right.
In municipal court, my case came first in 2008. Pauline's case came in 2009 till now in the municipal court. And your case, Bill, started in the municipal court 2010 till now. So because Pauline, Roman, and I are standing up, we're protecting you.
That's right.
So we're asking all the documentary evidence that shows that this happened has been submitted in federal court right now.
Right.
And for a year, I had no clue that they had restricted these documents.
Right.
These documents are what? A checking account, that's my checking account that's been closed.
That's right.
So this is my information. My medical records, which are not medical records, they're wholesale fraud.
Right.
And I redacted any information I didn't want the general public to see.
That's right.
And the rest is statutes and transcripts. So statutes are not sensitive information. They make my case. And transcripts, for example, of oral argument in 2005 where Dan Rozelle lied
Right.
to Judge Patterson in the federal court claiming I got 2 hearings.
Right.
And then 5 years later, a transcript where he was asked point blank, did Miss Radin get a hearing before she was expelled from medical school?
Yep.
And he says, I don't know. So he changed his story.
Of course.
Can you go to Bill's Unrestrict 2? So these are time-sensitive requests that those documents should be unrestricted. Okay,
Right.
I asked for those documents to be unrestricted. We've got 4 federal judges who have looked at this.
Yeah.
4 federal judges know that Dan Rozelle of Sive, Paget, and Rozelle committed perjury, lied to Judge Patterson in 2005, and I forced him to admit it in 2010.
Yes.
So who are we protecting here? Go ahead, Jason.
You're on,
Jason, go ahead.
Jason.
What? Excuse me, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Did you have a comment?
Say something.
Well, with everything that's going down, in the community, we have a better chance of unifying ourselves against the powers that we think are not there, because this is still transition. And it's now time for the people to declare its independence from the county. You can do that very easily.
What I think the initiative here should be is if you come back to us, Rich, I think the initiative here is to call Steve out on the fact that he's been he's not just passively going along with this. Okay, he sold the people a fantasy. He cannot rule Jersey City as mayor because he's actively participating in crime.
Sure. Well, Steve Phillips sold the people a bill of goods.
Thank
you.
you.
Go along with that?
Yeah,
There you
and when
go.
we call him out on it, and we demand that he's prosecuted, and we demand that Jersey City Medical Center is prosecuted, and we demand that Judge Rodriguez is prosecuted and removed from the bench, then we need to have a special election, which will be an honest election. You can't blame Mayor Healy because he's out, and you certainly can't. I'm sorry, and you certainly can't. And you certainly can't blame Steve.
You're looking at a defeat, as far as the bottom line here is. I really give credos to Philip. I don't have an animosity towards anyone. I try not to. I'm just glad that Healy lost because of his years of aptitude and his plagiarism. And I say that because not one in his administration was original. And what's really cool that even Mayor McCann had a lot of editorial placing a lot of questions on him. So I mean, everything will come down. The thing that's so cool in this whole event is that you are waiting. It's now going on 6 years, and he could have been a better man if he had played with the system. So he is going to be forfeit his crown, and that's so cool.
And the independents like you and Mr. Levin and Deborah King may actually, and Esther Winters, because there's going to have to be a do-over, might actually get a fair election. An election that isn't bought, an election that isn't owned by corrupt good old boys.
That's right.
Well, again, the bottom line here is all candidates, not the top top two, all the candidates deserve, if there's voter fraud, why did I receive? I only got 185 votes, but I put out 8,000. I put out 10,000 flyers, almost 10,000 flyers. And why did it so low? I mean, I'm more visible than any person in this community. Why did I score so low?
Well, I really can't answer that. What I do know is that the recommendation to me was that I press criminal charges against Patricia Waiters for harassing me at the May 8th, 2013 Jersey City Council meeting. You were there, Jason.
Yes, I was there. That was a day after my birthday. I was 60.
Is it possible for you to pull up JCTV, JC1 TV, and I'll show the website where, after the show, can you surf the internet?
Yeah, I'll get it.
Yeah, I'm sitting in front of.
No. I've asked a very nice tech person.
What do you want me?
That's it.
What do you want me to hit in there?
No, it's JC1
Go to the
TV.
technician.
No, it's JC1 TV. The Jersey City Council meetings are videotaped and they're played 24/7 for 2 weeks straight until the next Jersey City Council meetings. If you do JC1 TV, Jersey City Council meetings.
Yeah, I'm on that.
There it is. That's it. Now, if you go to programming.
I'm just in the.
Go to programming. Hit on the programming. Yeah, that's good.
I'm trying to program my life.
I'm showing the audience, Jason, JC1 TV, and if you go to meetings, click on the meetings tab. Right under next to, right there, the meetings tab. Perfect. If you click on that, you got.
Clicking on it.
Yeah.
There we go. The Jersey City Council meeting. You're not going to open it now because it's going to play. But the Jersey City Council meeting of May 8th, 2013. That's the City Council meeting where I don't know if you want to play it, but that's because it's a long meeting. But
Okay.
the audience at their convenience can open this up and look at it. And that's the Jersey City Council meeting where Patricia Waiters got up and claimed that I had emailed a threatening email to her daughter, which is not true. If you want to come back to me, which is not true. I outed her for. Let me just put the litigation points on the record, and then you can comment. I outed her as selling out to Steve Fulop, and because what she did was she thought she was being clever, she wasn't. So these are the litigation points. She's run for office, so by experience, she's an expert. Steve Fulop has run for office, so by experience, he's an expert. She thought that she would use the pressure of the last few weeks, the last few days of the upcoming mayor election to extort from Steve Fulop buses to go to Washington and a phone call to Eric Holder so that she could move her case forward.
Right.
Okay, they both know that when you exchange your vote for something of value, that's wrong.
Right.
Now, so she did that. She claims that that I did the same thing with Jerry Walker. That's not true because, and these are the important litigation points, because unlike Patricia Waiters, I never got up in front of an open public forum like the Jersey City Council and said, please vote for Jerry Walker.
Right.
I did not go around the neighborhood and say, please vote for Jerry Walker.
Right.
I did not try to suppress criticism of Jerry Walker so that to try to elevate his vote, like Patricia Waiters did to me for the past year, telling me to shut up about Steve Fulop.
Okay.
Okay, I'm not bad-mouthing Steve Fulop. I'm telling the truth. She doesn't like it, and he doesn't like
That's
it.
right.
I did not get up in front of a Jersey City Council meeting before May 8th and say people have been asking me who we should vote for, and I say Steve Fulop. So it's not the same. I met Jerry Walker at a mayor debate at
St. Peter's?
at St. Peter's, and when I put my flyer in his hand that told the truth about the crimes that the federal crimes that happened to me at Jersey City Medical Center, and I mentioned Patricia Waiters, Jerry Walker asked me to send him an email.
Right.
I did so. So he's like, send me an email, I'll look at it. Okay, so we did not do the same thing. And when I called Patricia Waiters and left a voicemail and said, "Hey, I had the great good fortune of meeting Jerry Walker, who's a candidate for mayor, and he offered to help us." And I sent him an email that briefs your case, so he would know what was going on. This is the same email I sent to Earl Morgan, and there was no secrets about anything that I did, and I never said to him, "Give me something in exchange."
That's right.
Okay, so I can't vote in Jersey City, so I was not exchanging my vote for anything of value.
That's right.
And I did not go out and ask other people to vote for him.
That's right.
So it is not the same.
That's right.
Okay, so Patricia Waiters sold the vote, sold her vote.
Yes, she
Okay,
did.
and what she didn't do was tell everybody else that in the neighborhood
Yeah.
that she was promoting Steve Fulop because he was giving her something of value.
I
What
see.
she did was wrong. And then when I called her on it and said that's wrong, and the two of you know better,
Right.
when I called her on it, then she got up in front of a Jersey City Council meeting and defamed me as having sent her daughter a threatening email.
Right.
So this question, these are some litigation points. Why are you emailing her daughter? Because Patricia Waiters never checks her email.
Right.
So if you send Patricia Waiters an email, she's got hundreds of emails by her own admission. She's like, I never look at my emails.
Never look at
I
them.
get hundreds of them. So her daughter had told me several weeks or several months ago, listen, if you're going to send mom an email, send it to me and I'll make sure she sees
There
it.
you go.
Her daughter also gave me her phone number.
That's right.
Okay, so when I sent the email to her daughter in Hoboken, and she got it at her school because apparently she gets email access through her school, it was because her daughter told me to do so.
That's right.
There's nothing threatening in that email.
That's right.
What Patricia doesn't like is that she sold the vote to Steve Fulop.
It is.
Now, when we came back from Washington, after we had meetings with the Republicans, we went straight to a city council meeting. And if Steve Fulop wanted to help, he would have helped then.
There you go.
Okay, Steve Fulop could have helped 4 years ago, 3
right.
years ago, 2 years ago, 1 year ago. All he cared about was having Patricia Waiters buy the vote for him. Okay, so Jason, your take on this?
The one thing that Well, I think she's a fool.
She is.
Reason why? Because she should never be a false character of someone else. And you have been telling the truth. Your thing is factual. You're not being taken. You don't want people to take this personally, because they can't take it personally because this is what they did. So, if you're taking it personally, you were in, however, in your reality.
You're coming in a little garbled.
You're breaking up.
You're breaking up a little. You want to say that again?
I'm speaking the phone.
Okay.
All right, I was just
speakerphone
speakerphone.
off.
So the whole point is that it's amazing how this election has gone, and the interesting and the end result of what you're doing. I mean, this is you're going to blow them out of the water. I mean,
We're going to blow them out of the water. All the concerned citizens. The tragedy here is Steve Fulop could have been, and I said this to his mother as I was putting my mother's phone number into his mother's hands. I gave his family, this is the phone number of my mother, call my mother and ask her what it was like to be terrorized the night that I was physically assaulted, and she's on the streets of Jersey City. She's outside Jersey City Medical Center, terrorized. Too afraid to go in because she's saying, what if they jump me too?
There you go.
What if they jump me too? And the police are saying, stay out here, Mrs. Radin, because we don't know what they could do.
Mm-hmm.
She goes.
Well, the police should have gone in there with your mom to see what's going on.
Let me tell you something. And here's the crime. So we actually got about a good amount of time. The underlying crime is, and I'm going to show the two documents that support this very quickly so we can get through this. The underlying crime is I'm being stalked by my medical school.
Right.
Jimmy David is a dishonest psychiatrist.
Yes, he is.
And they did an investigation at the municipal prosecutor's office.
Right.
If you go to Hospital 2, and we bring up the document, let's show this document.
Mm-hmm.
This is the lie my medical school told. Can you increase the magnification a little bit?
Zoom it in.
Yeah, zoom it in a little, and just yeah. Right here it says, this is the lie that they told. They lied to Stacy Dix-Kubiowski in Jersey City Medical Center. Psych history, yes, no.
Right.
Outpatient department, student services through the Albert Einstein School of Medicine, 1994.
Right.
Okay, I am not a patient of the Albert Einstein College of Medicine.
Never
School of
was.
Medicine.
Right.
Okay, so go back. Oh, this is referred by. Go scroll down a little bit, please, Rich, because I want to stay targeted on this. This is one of the underlying crimes. So the big picture here, just stay with this. The big picture here is the crime is committed in Jersey City,
That's right.
and the cover-up happened in Manhattan.
Okay.
So the criminal prosecution in Manhattan is to cover up for the crimes in Jersey City.
You know, it's so cool. This is like a tsunami.
When we get to the really big picture, because I was also instructed before this happened to go talk to my senator. My senator, U.S. senator, was Hillary Clinton. So, and all the other senators kept saying, she sits on the education committee. This is her responsibility. Yeshiva University. You go talk to her. I did. She ain't getting past me. Okay, because she spit in my face. She ruined the career of another woman. She didn't tell the truth about a Southern university, about how they were targeted by the IRS.
Right.
And we'll get to that because we're going to those open public hearings.
Yeah,
tomorrow.
now it's in Congress.
Yeah, we're going to those open public hearings.
Well, again, what's so great is that the state has been hypocritical, and for its own separation of church and state with yeshiva. And personally, I think every institution that should be certified of any religion.
Well, we'll get to that. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And what's really being hurt is that you're not getting the experience of that other religion in their care for their fellow man. I mean, they're being excluded. I mean, we're
gonna delve into that in upcoming shows. But the underlying the really big picture here is what you have is wealthy people like Mrs. Kaplan donate to the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party runs, these elections for district attorney.
That's right.
Mr. Vance is not getting past me. Hillary Clinton thinks she's running for the next election. She's going to have to be accountable to, I went to your office.
That's right.
You sat on the education committee. My life as a woman is being destroyed. I pulled myself up by my bootstraps. I'm first generation American. I worked my butt off. This is how you ruined my career and my life and almost murdered me because you didn't tell the truth. And if you think you're running for office and getting past me, you're not.
That's right.
And what we're going to start with is Mr. Fuller.
That's right.
Okay? So what this all is that key people in the Democratic Party knew about crimes, and they were so gutless, so spineless, such cowards, they couldn't stand up to the criminals in their own party, they couldn't stand up to the criminals in their community, and what they don't like is that they're being outed.
Let me say one thing. There's a common occurrence, I'll say, between, say, Regina and Jersey City, Hudson County. What it is, both have one-party systems. It's a one-party system in China, and it's a one-party system in Jersey City. There's no Republicans there, so now you have a machine which gets eventually corrupt, so this is what's going on. Lydia's perfectly correct.
Well, actually, Bill, that was extremely insightful because, can you come back to us for a minute, Rich? That was
what's really great is that the connection of accountability. I mean, in the 4 agreements, there are 4 things that you need to adhere to. Your word is impeccable. 2 is your never make assumptions. 3 is never take anything personally, and 4 is do your best. And the real thing with the Democratic Party is that I personally am very disgusted with the Democratic Party. I'm a registered Democrat for 42 years, and I think that the party is repugnant, and we need to be free of the Democrats and the Republicans.
Very good, thank you. So what we're really doing is cleaning house, and the big picture. I got 2 years to publicize the truth.
She's got it.
So, Mrs. Clinton, you were my
representative.
I was her constituent. Hers all the ways. You screwed me. You screwed the South. You screwed the evangelistic Christians. You screwed the military. Believe me, I got more. I got more issues that I know what to do with. So that's the really big picture.
Well, the more mud you throw in the wall, it's bound to stick. But the truth is, but a truth explodes the entire building.
So what we have is we've got wealthy donors. They donate to the Democratic Party. They run these elected officials. And when you go to these elected officials and say, hey, your donors are the people who are hurting me. What do? They persecute the victim. They protect the criminals. And so what's happening now is we're exposing the truth, and they can't stand it. So as one underlining crime, because we're running out of little time on the show, I'm going to show the crime in Jersey and then the cover-up in Manhattan. So just one second. So here's the crime in Jersey and the cover-up in Manhattan. And this is one of them. So go to this document. No, the document you had right there. That was good. Hospital 2. If you just bring that up. So one crime is my medical school, Dan Rozelle, Jimmy David is the crooked doctor, claims that I'm part of this outpatient department, student services through the Albert Einstein College of Medicine. I am not a patient. There is of the outpatient department. I am not Janice Bennett's patient. I am not Jimmy David's patient. This is a College of Medicine. I am not their patient. Robin Patton, who was my lab partner, was Jimmy David's patient. So what Jimmy David does is he's a dishonest psychiatrist. He stalks me through life. He tells people I'm his patient. I'm not. And this is the cover-up. If you go to page 50. Yeah, page 58 of my criminal trial transcript. You can click out of this. Page 58. Right there. Page 58. Right there. Okay. This is from my criminal trial transcript, page 58. And apparently what they did, and they pulled every dirty trick in the world, is there was a subpoena for... Here we go. There was a subpoena for my records, and apparently what they did was Judge Simpson looking at, I subpoenaed my records, and apparently, why it's doing this?
No.
Okay, well, just hang with us, viewers, because we upgraded to high definition TV, and apparently there's a little, we're still working through the bugs.
Yeah, glitches.
But so apparently what happened is my medical school and its attorneys falsely accused me. I was railroaded. I was subjected to malicious prosecution. Robert Morgenthau didn't like the fact that I was telling the truth about Sonia Sotomayor during her confirmation hearings in Washington. And yes, the U.S. Capitol Police really did falsify records. I'll get to that in a minute. No, they did. They did.
Well,
If
you know
got-
what's so great in this whole case, the pen is mightier than the sword. Eventually, everyone gets caught up in their folly.
Well, what we're working out is this is an organized criminal conspiracy, so what we're figuring out is who are the contacts, who are the connections, who are the contact people that Dan Rozelle and this little criminal gang use. And we know that their point person at Rikers Island is Bob Arcow. And we know that their point person in Washington at the U.S. Capitol Police is a certain person who falsified those records. Now, they wanted to create this false psychological profile.
Right.
So they were trying to say, oh, I had rabble-roused during the Sonia Sotomayor hearings and was asked to leave the room, but that's not true. So they're trying to create consistency in false records to justify why Judge McLaughlin had excluded me from my criminal trial, denying me my constitutional right to a fair trial. So apparently what they did in the trial is there was a subpoena for my records. My records went to Judge Simpson. Apparently she looked at medical records, looked at them in camera in her office. Nobody else was there. Bless them. And according to Mr. Spiro, that's Assistant District Attorney Alex Spiro, who will be disbarred, he claims that, well, she found them to be, and I'm quoting now, she found them to be sufficient and complied with discovery and what appeared to be a complete set of her medical records. What medical records? Now, there's two problems here. The subpoena was into my hands, not to give a false record to some idiot judge who would sit in her office and a bunch of attorneys would tell her a pack of lies. Now, if Judge Simpson is so grossly incompetent that she just accepts whatever false records are thrown out at her, then she needs to be disbarred because she's too grossly incompetent.
She should be removed from the bench.
Exactly. To check with me, Lydia Radin. Okay, so if these are my medical records, they were supposed to be put in my hands. And if you come back to me for a minute, here's the question I asked when I saw those falsified records of Jersey City Medical Center. Oh, really? I'm not Janice Bennett's patient. I'm not a patient of the outpatient department of the Albert Einstein College of Medicine. I do not have a psychiatrist. I do not take psychotropic drugs. This is a lie that they're telling. Okay, so I'm asking them if I'm an outpatient of the Albert Einstein College of Medicine,
Right.
where are the medical records? Where are the billing records?
They ain't
Who's
there.
the doctor? Show them to me.
Ain't nothing there, folks.
So what they did was they created these false records. There's a subpoena. They create these false records. They give them to a judge. Idiot judge sits there and goes, oh, look, false records. Oh, wonderful. And they appear to be correct to me. And then she sends them back to the school. This is on page 56, 57, 58 of my criminal trial transcript,
Okay.
which we'll go into a little bit more in depth.
We will.
But go ahead.
Yeah, I only have a little time left. The whole thing I see happening in my race. I mean, did I win? Did I win the race? No, I finished last. But it was the journey of contact and making networks. I mean, meeting what I did in this time is is so strong, and with your case is so righteous. I mean, it's so outrageous. Is how we are respond as a positive society right now. We have a lot of power. I feel like I'm so happy for Reverend King
she now has a church of her own now, full time, and what she's going to be doing for the community is going to be.
Reverend King was one of the independents that ran, and she was a guest on my show.
Right.
And as a result of her putting herself out there, she was asked to lead a church. So that worked out well.
I didn't hear about that one.
Yes, she was. We'll tell you about that.
And I didn't know it's really cool what was happening with me. I also am a victim of RoboCop fraud too.
Okay, let's not get into that because we're going to get lost in details, and we
Yeah.
got to see.
Well,
we don't want to lose. You're going to get plenty of opportunity.
We're running out of time, Jason.
Yeah, you're going to get plenty of
All right.
opportunity. I promise.
But let me just say
Go ahead.
that also is we with the amount of people that ran. I mean, I really liked the group of people we ran with. I think Dan Levin would be the next best thing to the next mayor, because he did run as mayor, and I see that as the best candidate to run in 4 years. I think it should be really interesting.
We'll get into that.
Because again,
No, we're not waiting 4 years. We're going forward with the criminal prosecution now. I've had it. So we're going forward
Right.
with criminal prosecution for the crime of false imprisonment.
Right.
We're going forward with the criminal prosecution for the over $15,000 worth of Medicaid fraud.
Right.
That means Steve Fulop is going to be held responsible, and he will never be mayor. He cannot rule.
Well, I have a question. With all, I mean, you've got great information, and with all the great information you have, how long do you think it would take for this to this gentleman to be follied away? I mean, we're
we're
looking
gonna
at
worry-
6 months, so you're looking at a year?
No, we're not waiting for that. And that's the most important thing now is to unrestrict these documents in federal court. Let me finish making the litigation points for here, because we got about 10 minutes left. The most important thing, and Jason, you're going to give me a letter that I'm going to submit in federal court, yes?
Yes, this is agreed to.
And that letter is going to say, look, unrestrict those documents. And we're going to carbon copy it to the other independents. And we're going to say, look, these documents are part of the supportive evidence that talk about the aggravated aggravated assault on Lydia Radin. At this point, I think it's way past aggravated assault, because these people knew what they were doing. Every step along the way, every lie they told, every document they falsified, everything they did, every affirmative act that they took in furtherance of the criminal conspiracy, they knew what they were doing.
That's right.
These people almost murdered me. So, we're talking about premeditated attempted murder. They knew what they were doing. Okay?
Right.
If I was dead today, a whole lot of people's lives would be a whole lot easier, particularly John Scarfone, who could be disbarred. So, when I get these crooked doctors saying, and I'm just going to put one example, oh, there's something wrong with her. She thinks that there's fraud going on. When John Scarfone lied in federal court in 2006, he executed a fraud upon the court.
That's what he did.
So there is fraud going on. When you're an attorney and you execute a fraud upon the court, you get disbarred.
Sure.
Dan Rizal committed perjury. I caught him. There are a whole lot of people whose lives would be a whole lot better today
Right.
if Lydia Radin weren't here. We're not having that. So
You're definitely proof that you persevere, and it's nice to know that you're coming through. Everything's coming through for you, and it's going to be one head after another. You're going to do a good job of playing golf for a lot of people's heads.
this is righteous retribution, and it's not retaliatory. These people are need to be criminally prosecuted so that we can have a safer world. So what the crime at Jersey City, this being stalked through life by my medical, they didn't stop, by the way, because we have 5 minutes left, so I'm going to start talking really fast. Because they were allowed to get away with these crimes, the stalking of me hasn't stopped. So Jimmy David keeps doing this. The crime was at Jersey City. Jimmy David told the municipal prosecutor's office that I was his psychiatrist, that I was his patient. I'm not. They lied to the Jersey City police. Oh, she's been mentally ill for years. It's garbage. They've been stalking and lying about me for years. Dr. Jelnov at Jersey City Medical Center threatened me, if you don't shut up about Yeshiva University, Lydia, we're going to lie about you even more. He made good on his threats. So the crime is at Jersey City and the cover-up is in Manhattan. And part of that cover-up is there's a subpoena for my records. These false medical records were created, shown to Judge Simpson. She looks at them in camera in her office with nobody there, says, oh, they're fine, blesses them, sends them back to the school. That means she executed that. Those records should have be put in my hands.
Right.
Okay. If they're not put in my hands, she didn't enforce a valid subpoena. That's a crime. She didn't give them to me. That's obstruction of justice. Or if you want to call it, she executed a fraud. I'm the victim here. Okay. Now these people are dangerous. Judge Simpson knows what she's doing. If she doesn't know, she's so grossly incompetent that anybody can deceive her, and she needs to be removed from the bench. The fact is, they knew what they were doing. They were trying to cover up for the attorneys, telling Jersey City Municipal Prosecutor's Office and they had been lying to Tracy McQuaid, Debbie Simon, Ed DeFazio at the Hudson County Prosecutor's
Well, I
Office.
have a question for you.
Sure.
With all the litigation that you have, how many people's heads will roll?
We're organizing a group of citizens. You're one of them, and
Tenants United.
we're organizing. We're expanding our group, and what we want is criminal prosecution. Judge Rodriguez needs to be criminally prosecuted.
What do you estimate the number is, dear?
We're not worried about that right now.
Right.
Okay.
No, it's just cool because if we get 49 people, we beat the hit on that the government did in 2009.
Yeah, we
Okay,
get it.
but we're not playing games here. This is really serious.
Yeah.
No, I'm not. But I say I'm a numerologist, and the numbers are important because
So what's
it's very strong.
yeah? So what's
You're
happening?
really going. You have such a case. Everything it's a house of cards that you have, and when you pull one card, you touch one card, the entire house falls apart.
That's right.
And that is so dynamic, and the pen is mightier than the sword.
That's right.
And
Thank you.
And the system. Thank you. You're welcome. And we are grateful to see your fruits come to fruition.
So do you think we can get Dan Levin to write the based on his stance for a strong ethics? Do you think we can get?
Well, again, yeah. But the thing is, he's got Jersey one Jersey City, or is it Jersey City 1? He's got an organization that's very, very effective. It's done a lot of good in the past.
So we're going to send your letter because we're out in about a minute and a half.
We've got a minute to go.
We're going to we're going to carbon copy your letter to the court, and we're going to carbon copy it to the Independents, and we're going to ask. We want criminal prosecution.
We do.
And as we go forward in criminal prosecution, then it's going to happen that Steve Fulop's going to be prosecuted. It's unfortunate that Patricia Waiters lost her case. She can't go to a federal judge now and have her case reopened. What is she going to say?
That's right.
Steve Fulop bought me, and then I just tell lies. She's unfortunately she ruined her case. Her case is
credibility.
she has no. You can't hire her to be a corrections officer to work in an atmosphere with extremely vulnerable people when she's demonstrated that she's easily bought and will lie.
That's right.
So it's unfortunate, but her case is over. However, in that case, I did get the opportunity to expose the U.S. Attorney's Office.
That's right.
So we're going out in 30 seconds. Jason, why don't you take us out with your final thoughts?
Go ahead, Chief.
The future is very bright. We in the city, and we have to work hard, and in the unity, and through that we'll have a more harmony and more peace in our community.
So we're going to make our group stronger. We want criminal prosecution. We want Judge Rodriguez disbarred, criminally charged,
Removed from the bench.
removed from the bench. We want criminal prosecution, and we're done.
We're done.
Right, and that, so voila. And
Wow, that was pretty good.
yeah, fantastic. I did the organization party. That was an excellent program.
Jason, this is fabulous. Going forward, we're going to get a lot of good done.
And we damn straight. Everywhere you turn around is having a problem.
I think once we disbar a few crooked judges.
Well, the number of people that are in here, I think, like at least at least 8 or 9 people.
No, I'm adding 25 new defendants from Rikers Island. There's, I don't
No,
know, there's about, I'm up to about 35, 40 defendants, and when it goes to Jersey City, it'll be a lot. It'll be a
Well,
lot.
again, that's a beautiful number. I mean, to work that hard, and now you're going to have your day in court.
There's going to be a lot of people.
If we want, I mean, I can.
Yeah.
So, but right now we got to get through next week.
Yeah.
And
Well,
let me
the
take
23rd. I don't know how are we going to play that. Dr. Reverend King has to be there.
I don't know what's going to happen. I know that
So citizens,
Yes, it is.
to be there too.
I don't know what's going to happen. I prepare the letter for you to sign, and I'm coming into Jersey.
What time?
An attorney at 2.
In expressions, but
We got to be.
when that blinked,
We got to be here to meet with an attorney
I
at
don't
2.
know about
So
in here.
either
'cause I didn't
before or
have
after.
expressions
When's good for you?
and this at the same time.
Well, it has to be, if it's before 2 o'clock, it'd be, or it's 12 o'clock, it'd be good too. Whatever 12 or 1 o'clock, whatever.
Do you, how about if I meet you? All I'm going to do is give you the letter. You can read it over and sign it. I'm probably going to need it notarized, so I'm going to pick it up from you. Do we have a notary?
The bank is a
Yeah, we
notary.
get a notary.
Yeah,
You
but-
email it, I'll sign it, and
UPS.
Okay, I'll email it to you, and then you can notarize it.